Good morning, everyone. So I'm Laetitia Raoust. I'm the Chief Digital and Marketing Officer at L'Oréal in the UK. And I actually started my career with L'Oréal a little bit more than 20 years ago. But after a few years, I quit, and I joined Google in New York. And then I even left Google a few years later to be more on the creative side, to be a graphic designer after a late degree at Parsons. But I came back to L'Oréal. And when I came back the second time around, the company had totally changed. So all the technology and creativity that I had been looking for outside was really inside this company now, and it had really changed. This is the story I want to tell you today. It's how a 115-year-old corporation is really embracing technology, embracing beauty tech to shape the future of beauty. But before I start, let me just take a little step back and look at what we are seeing today. We are really at a new digital intersection where technology, consumers, and brands are colliding. Technology, consumers, and brands are allowing us to really rethink marketing right now. And I'm not going to tell you anything new if I say technology is at a turning point. But it is really in all aspects of our lives today. Think about cities that are more and more connected with citizens as sensors, digital identity programs being rolled out by all governments, education more and more accessible to anyone, and entertainment, which doesn't require production crews anymore. All this is done through prompt. And what about consumers with this technology? I think there are amazing frictions, tensions that we're seeing. On one hand, they're adopting very quickly new technology. So we say it took 9 months for TikTok to get to 100 million users, 2 months for ChatGPT, 5 days, I think, for Threads. So yes, technology is being adopted really fast, but on the other hand, consumers sometimes have tensions, frictions with this technology. And we know, for example, the Gen Z mental health crisis is worsening right now. And at the same time, these consumers are all becoming creators. So we say Instagram made us all influencers, TikTok made us all entertainers, Midjourney made us all artists. So we are in this very new environment for our consumers. And brands are responding with really unbounded creativity. They are becoming a destination to create, to connect, with new multi-sensory journeys, with augmented creation through AR, VR, 3D. I think it's really interesting to see what all brands are doing today. But before I continue, let me show you how L'Oréal embraced this tech and creative world. So to create the beauty that moves the world, because this is our motto, our slogan, we have a very simple principle. We always say, seize what's starting. It's a quirky quote that our founder was saying at the time, and I think it really embodies this boldness, this appetite for innovation, and even a little of FOMO that we tend to have at L'Oréal. And to seize what's starting, for us, it always starts with people. So our first chief digital officer was hired over 10 years ago, and it starts from the top, and with her, she led a very impressive digital transformation. We created a lot of new teams, we hired a lot of experts from outside, but at the same time, we constantly upskilled people and made sure that no one was left behind in the company. So for us, people are really at the core of this digital transformation. Because yes, we believe marketing is transforming, and we call it the augmented marketing. For us, it's augmented by quite a few interesting things. It's augmented by purpose. Everything we do needs to be sustainable, inclusive by design. It's augmented by O+O, online and offline. So it's not about just products anymore. It's about beauty experiences that are both physical and digital. It's augmented by data, of course, throughout all of our touchpoints, on all of our business drivers. And it's augmented right now by Gen AI. And to power this augmented marketing, we really put technology at the core. We've been pioneering this concept of like beauty tech, but I think today we are genuinely a force in beauty tech, a beauty tech leader. It started a long time ago in our labs when we were designing formulas and products. We were already betting on tech. But today, this tech is taking us as far as recreating skin, artificial skin, to avoid testing on animals, for instance. We also try to create new devices when technology can bring an interesting change for consumers. So we've moved from just products and are going into device. Here you see Airlight Pro, a new hairdryer based on infrared technology. And we also use tech to make beauty more inclusive. We've developed this Lancome Hapta arm, which allows people with mobility issues to apply makeup. So we're also using technology to develop tools and devices to make beauty more inclusive. And then we're working on apps, on services, diagnostic, a lot of things that you can find online. Say bonjour to this one, which is the new AI beauty assistant on L'Oréal Paris. So you get the point. We're moving from products to device to apps to an AI assistant, but we're also fully embracing what Gen AI can bring to our content, to the creation, to the creative parts. And for that reason, we created a few months ago a Gen AI studio together with a few partners to allow us to experiment Gen AI in a safe environment. And you must think of it as really a place where we can experiment, try, and see how copywriters, creators, and marketers can create together. So this is our Cre-AI tech studio. Of course, we put guardrails as we're using Gen AI, and from scratch, we decided that we would not use any AI-generated, lifelike face, hair, body, or skin in our advertising. So beauty is human and will stay human, so we will not use these visuals. But we will use them internally for inspiration, for storyboarding, for idea generation. And then we can always use like texture and products that are generated by AI. Here you have, I'll show you some examples. So we've created more than 1,000 outputs in the past month. We've had dozens of workshops with all of our brands. And you'll see, so some of these human-like outputs that are used from inspirations, but also products, pack shots, etc. We have a few learnings. First, we continue to see that creativity, a good creative direction, is still needed. The best visuals are created in collaboration with our creative directors, and that's where we're able to really have impactful visuals. And the art of prompting is no small thing, so it's not to be put in the hands of everyone in the organization. Second, we're seeing scale. For us to be able to do a lot of pack shots, super high quality, and very fast is obviously a key application. We need this constantly for all of our touch points. And third, we have the ability to train the models. So today, the more we're able to train the models on our brand's data sets, the more we're able to create really good, relevant content. And to train the models, you need to be able to digitalize your own data, your own brand codes. And I think that's the interesting things for all marketers. What are my brand codes? What's my brand DNA? What does my brand stand for? So I think all of this we're learning right now through this CreaTech studio. But let's move for a second to influencers and the world of creators out there. At L'Oréal, we work with 60,000 creators around the world, influencers around the world, from regular beauty skinfluencers, as we call them, the beauty talks on TikTok, the doctors, the Metfluencers, and the hairstylists. We measure what we call our share of influence, and in beauty, we are leading with around 30% share of influence globally in the world of influencer. And there again, we've joined forces recently with Meta this time to create a creator program called the New Codes of Beauty, where we are working with creators that are using interesting tools, interesting creative technologies to be able to have more, to put more creation in the influencer content. And you see the examples here with L'Oréal, La Roche-Posay, and Lancôme, trying to inject again more creativity in this creator space. So, in conclusion, there you have it. For a 115-year-old beauty company, old company, big corporation, to become a leading beauty tech, I think the recipe is quite close to the digital intersection I was mentioning before. It's a mix of 3 ingredients. You need to embrace tech, and it's from consumer device to apps to Gen AI content. You need people, and to rely on people, so it's the right resource, the right org, the right ways of working, the right upskilling, and constantly reassessing and being able to flex this constantly. And then finally, brands. We are lucky to have 37 very strong and differentiated brands, so we can use them to put out there the best content, the best products. But the good thing about these brands for us is that they are all single-mindedly focused on changing beauty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laetitia. That was a fantastic whistle-stop tour of what L'Oréal has been doing and how it's embraced technology and creativity. Remember, if you have a question, put it in the app and it will come up here onto my Slido, just so you will remember. I think that the inspiring thing that stands out to me is that the founders of L'Oréal very early on put in place that seize the new, kind of embrace the new. L'Oréal's not a small company, so it's quite impressive that you've been able to move from your core kind of product identity to actually developing technology and product. Like, how has that been possible? There must have been challenges along the way with the size of the organization.
Yeah, I think there's always challenges, and it is a big corporation, so I'm not going to lie that we have processes, etc. But there's always a little bit of chaos, and organized chaos at L'Oréal. And if you have entrepreneurship is very encouraged. If you have an idea, you can always raise your hand. I think genuinely, this is encouraged, and it's been there since inception, and you still feel it today. So some content that was shown there was like the idea of a product manager in a team. She said, I know a creator who can do that. And everybody was like, yeah, let's try. There's this appetite to innovate, and a lot of FOMO. I'm saying it again. I think L'Oréal is quite competitive, and they're always afraid to miss what's happening outside. So I think it's in the DNA of the company.
Sounds like culture.
It's very cultural.
Is a key part of it then.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about Gen AI. You and I were both in Cannes, and there's a lot of talk at a high level, but there are some real tangible examples of how you're using it, and you talked about not everybody's a prompt engineer. How is L'Oréal kind of as an organization embracing generative AI?
Yeah, on the Gen AI side, so we're surrounding ourselves with experts and a lot of different partners. So you saw the studio that we've created with a lot of partners outside, be it NVIDIA, WPP, etc. And so we want to learn and we want to experiment, but in a safe way. And I think that's how we do it, through the studio. But we're also trying a lot of tech that's existing out there for pack shots, for storyboarding, ID generation. So we are in this experimentation phase, and now we need to get to the learnings. We're starting to get some learnings, and then we need to move fast to really constant and meaningful execution of this.
Yeah, wonderful. And the last question, if you don't mind, Laetitia, would be, if you fast forward, how do you think the marketing department's going to look different, like in a few years' time, as a result of some of the technology you've talked about?
But I think a lot of things are still changing that we don't even know are coming. But at the end of the day, the fundamentals are still there. Like, you have a consumer, you need to know this person, target it in the best way, and you have brands, and the only strong brands that will still be there in a long time have a very strong identity. They're very differentiated. They bring something new, different to the market, and that will stay. And so even if more and more brands have access to these tools, to these amazing technologies, I think we still believe very much in the power of brands and the power of being differentiated.
Brilliant. Wonderful. Well, put your hands together for Laetitia
Thank
from
you very
L'Oréal,
much.
please.